Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, where we watch, and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator, Jamie Epps, and each week I'm joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by an aircon estimator who lists their favourite movie as A Nightmare on Elm Street and favourite TV show as Golden Girls. Welcome to the show, Corrina Mabey.
Hi. How's it going?
Excited to be here in person.
Yes. Super exciting.
And as we can see, in Australia,
Snacks.
the American decided to get all the snacks.
Why not? Why else travel if you can't get snacks?
Well, you got them all. You got all of Woolies and Coles here.
I did not get everything. I had control, just not much of it.
So much control.
I mean, you know, I could have got more. But I can only fit so much in my suitcase.
Yeah. Tetris.
Tetris. Can't wait to play that later. Be fun.
And while you were here, enjoyed a bunch of food.
So much fucking food. Oh, I cursed. Sorry.
Uh-oh. So before we dive into our regular scheduled programming of TV and movies, Corrina's going to rate and rank all of her Australian food adventures.
I really don't want to do that because they're all so good. Everything's so good.
Okay, let's go. What did you start with?
First thing I had here was ramen, which was like really good. We have ramen back home, but it's a little bit different. So yeah, that was a fun adventure. It's good to start. And then we had Silverside. Is that what it is? Yeah, that was really good too. That was my first dinner here. Never had that. I don't know what's in it, but it's really good. The sauce is really good.
Yeah, it's just corned beef with white sauce, parsley.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. We don't have anything like that at home. So that's great. We did Taco Bell. So I got to actually have a taste of home on my second day here, which was great. But you guys have pulled pork tacos. We do not. We also don't have the chips that you guys have all the time. The little nacho fry
The
thing.
like seasoned fries.
Yeah, we don't have those all the time. That's a seasonal thing. So
That's weird.
yeah.
Why would they be?
It's not. I don't know if it's like a seasonal thing or if it's just like a testy thing, but it's not all the time. So that's really good. And we also don't have chocolate quesadillas, and you guys have chocolate quesadillas.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
Yeah. So I could live on those. Fish and chips.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got a fisherman's basket.
Yeah.
Straight out of the ocean.
Straight up. It was so good. I don't get fresh seafood like that at home very often. I have to travel towards the beach to get that, which is not very frequent. So I was really happy to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the size of calamari rings here are massive.
Yeah.
At home, we just get like tiny little ones. So here, there was like full on.
Yeah, we don't mess around with seafood. It's got to be massive or
So
don't bother.
I don't want to eat the same. Like I don't want to eat seafood anymore. I don't want to spoil. You made me apricot chicken.
Mm-hmm.
That was really that was something. Every time we talk and you're like, I made apricot chicken. I really want it, and did not disappoint.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. Like literally 3 ingredients: chicken, apricot nectar, and French onion soup.
Everything's so basic, but it all tastes so much different. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to eat the same way anymore. What else did I was introduced to chocolate mud cake. Is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Or the caramel?
Yeah,
the
we
caramel
had the chocolate
mud
one and then the caramel mud cake.
cake? Yeah, that
Just from Woolies. Just the staple Woolies
so good,
cake.
Though. Yeah, we don't have some of the stuff back at home, right? We have similar things, but they don't taste as good. And then we went to Sneaky Burger.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a pulled pork thing.
Yeah, the pulled pork sambo, which is, pulled pork, coleslaw, whatever their sneaky secret sauce thing is.
Yeah,
on a milk bun.
that was one of my favorite things I've had here. And their French fries are amazing too.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do to their fries.
pretty much everything you get at Sneaky Burger is really good.
Yeah, that was freaking amazing. I had a meat pie for the first time.
Yep, from the famous Robinson Pie shop.
Before that was before we took on a mountain.
No, we went up the mountain first.
Oh, we did. We went up the mountain first, and then I
Then we
cried
got
a
a
little
pie.
inside.
Then you had a pie.
And then I had a
And
pie.
then we went to a waterfall.
Yeah. So you scared the crap out of me, and then fed me, and then took me on an adventure. It was great. That was the best thing I've probably ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way I can describe it. It was just so good. You made me laksa. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yeah. That was a really good noodle soup thing. I'm gonna make that at home, I think, because I think everybody's gonna like it. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably like it.
Yeah. Hopefully the laksa paste you have at home is as good. That's the really crucial component.
I don't
Getting
know if we
good
have
laksa paste.
We might not have it at home. I might have to go back to the store. Might have to take another trip to the store and get more snacks, or just laksa
Yeah, I
paste.
don't know how you'd go getting that back through customs.
It'll be fine. I'll just sneak it in, pretend it's normal. I had chicken kebabs.
Oh yeah, honey soy kebabs.
Yeah, those are super good. We have kebabs, but they're different at home. And they don't have like flavors. They're just plain old meat and veggies on a
and the
stick.
Veggie skewers.
Yeah, they're just mainly like a skewer, but they call them kebabs at home. So
Yeah, we have those, but yeah, the marinated flavored ones are way, way better.
I could drink that sauce. It's so good.
Yeah, we have, I think you can get, like, Woolies and Coles, they do honey soy, there's a barbecue one, which is pretty average, satay chicken, which is good, and then there's a hoisin sauce one as well, which is
That would
really
probably
nice.
be really good too. I discovered what a snack pack was.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
My life has changed forever. I want to start a business at home where we make snack packs because that was delicious and so good but so bad for you.
Oh, yes. Probably the most unhealthy thing you ate whilst here.
That would explain why it was probably one of the best
It's
things I
literally
ate
just
here.
Kebab meat on chips with sauce, cheese, sour cream, garlic sauce.
Yeah, it was everything I could have ever wanted.
So unhealthy, but so good.
That's all I've been talking about whenever somebody asks me what kind of food I've been eating back at home. That's all I talk about is snack packs. Literally got home and messaged every single person and went, snack pack. That was good. I went to a sausage sizzle.
Oh, yep. Yeah, bunning sausage sizzle.
Yep.
Can't go wrong.
No, it was just really similar to a cookout at home, but it tasted so much better. The quality of stuff here just tastes way different. I don't know what y'all gotta do to it, but it just tastes a lot less processed and a lot better.
Yeah, I think there's just way less preservatives and salts and things. Like, we're just
I don't feel as
much
guilty.
cleaner food, I guess. But
Yeah, I don't feel nearly as unhealthy eating
Although-
stuff here.
I probably wouldn't call a sausage clean food. Like,
I
it's
mean,
just,
it just tastes healthier-ish. I don't know. It wasn't on a stick, though.
yeah, it was just on bread with
Yeah.
sauce.
It's different. You took me out for breakfast. I had a proper breakfast and a proper Australian coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was delicious.
I told you Australian coffee is the way to go. It's way better than the black tar disgustingness.
I only drink iced coffee, though, back at home. So you've turned me to the hot coffee side. Only while I'm here, though. When I get back home, I'm grabbing an iced pumpkin spice coffee. Because I miss PSLs. And I can't find any here right now.
Yeah, we tried. I assumed Gloria Jeans would have them, but nope.
No PSLs, but that's okay. Yeah, I had what was it, a ham and cheese croissant, and it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Croissants here are also very, very different. They're more flaky, like they should be, whereas
Yeah.
most croissants I have at home are pretty dense, so they're not as good.
Yeah. Our croissants are very good.
We did Chinese food yesterday. Plum sauce is mind-blowing. Everything should come covered in plum sauce. Like, it's the only way I can describe that. And crispy noodles were really good, too.
Yeah.
It's just a good contrast to, like,
Yeah, the soft meat and veggies with the crunch.
Yeah. And then I had a finger bun finally. I held out as long as I could because I thought they looked ridiculous.
Walked past them about 6 times. No, I don't need one of those. I don't need one of those. Finally gave in on the second last day.
To be fair, we went into Kohl's yesterday and I did not go down the snack aisle, so I had to make up for that.
Yeah, we didn't go down a snack aisle, but we spent about 20 minutes in the bakery.
Whatever, give or take. Choose your battles. It's fine. But yes, finger buns are delicious. They shouldn't be that good. They're nothing more than just a hot dog bun with icing. They're so good.
Yeah, they should. They are way better than they should be.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any
Just
sense.
bread and sugar, and they're good.
Yep, doesn't make any sense. But I apparently have to make them when I get home now. So
Yeah, just don't put a sausage in it.
I'm not gonna. That's gross. I'm not gonna do that. And then I had a custard scroll as well. I split that yesterday, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've gladly and happily ate my way through Australia, or at least part of it, because when I come back, I'm sure I'm going to find 10 other things that I haven't had yet that I'm going to try again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really looking forward to that. What?
Violet crumbles.
Oh, violet crumbles are my new favorite candy. I need no other candy in my life except violet crumbles.
What else did you try?
I tried a Turkish delight, and that was pretty good too.
Soft drinks.
Oh man, what are those things? Kirks? Is that what it is?
Yeah, passion.
Oh, the passion fruit one is like my top favorite soft drink in the world. Generally, I don't drink soft drinks. I just drink sparkling water. So this has been a full-on adventure for me. That was really good. I tried chicken salt for the first time, and I'm bringing it home because it belongs on everything.
Twisties you've had before.
Twisties were a thing I had to bring home. Same with Tim Tams. Those are amazing. And then I was informed that I need to bring back Kit Kats, and I am delivering on that, clearly.
Yeah, just every Kit Kat imaginable.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have different flavors at home. We have, like, strawberry one, and, like, we had a blueberry one at one point, but I've never seen, like, a raspberry and that triple chocolate cookie one.
Yeah, and you got Milo,
Mm-hmm.
which you also tried.
Yeah, Milo's delicious.
Told you.
It blows hot chocolate out of the water, that's for sure.
What else have you got? Tasmanian mint. That'll be interesting.
I'm excited about the orange one.
Southern Australian orange.
Yeah, chocolate and orange belong together, so I'm really stoked about that.
You've got a curly welly to try when you get home. Eucalyptus drops. Salt vinegar chips.
Those are so... We have salt and vinegar at home, but those just taste... They hit differently. I'm telling you. It's because they're ridged. We only do plain ridged stuff at home, and I think we might have one that's like cheddar. But for the most part, salt and vinegar chips are just flat, regular chips, and they do not taste that good.
Well, Smiths do the exact same chips in the flat chips here, and they taste different.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me.
It's the ridge. I don't know. It just does something. And then I found new Oreo flavors that we don't... I don't think we have those at home, or if we do, I haven't seen them or tried them. So I'm stoked about that too.
Oh yeah, you got the Oreo wafers. They should be good.
Yeah, I don't know what those are. I've never seen those before, but I'm a sucker for an Oreo, so bring it on.
So in terms of favorite thing...
Favorite thing I've eaten so far? All right. Favorite thing I've eaten out has been a snack pack. It's like a toss-up between the snack pack and the fish and chips, which is two total opposites. Really.
Yeah, one's relatively good for you. One's definitely
terrible
not.
for you. And then the favorite homemade thing I've had has been the laksa. I love that, just because I'm a sucker for noodles. So it's been my favorite thing.
Nice. Alrighty, so that's Australian Food Adventures 101 with Corrina.
Yay! I can't wait to come back and get more.
Yeah.
There.
Woolies is going to have to up their game. They're going to have to introduce some new stuff.
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna.
Or just
send
come
you-
back and buy all the same things.
I'm gonna send you some money like once every couple months and just have you ship me like a survival pack.
A whole box of shapes and twisties.
That'd be great. I need a care package.
So, on to regularly scheduled programming. This week we're delving into high fantasy as we chat about Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. First up, since we've seen more of this show than the other, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, aka Got Hot D.
I didn't know that was a thing until you told me that, and I just stared at you very blankly. Like, what are you saying to me right now?
Yeah, well, Game of Thrones is GOT, so now you've got Hot D.
Yep, that's happening.
It's the prequel to Game of Thrones, set approximately 200 years prior to the events of Game of Thrones and 172 years before the birth of Daenerys Targaryen. This show portrays the beginning of the end of the House of Targaryen and the events leading up to the Targaryen War of Succession, known as the Dance of Dragons, which I'm assuming is going to end up being included in subsequent seasons of this show, or will be a separate spin-off.
I'll be happy either way as long as it continues on what it's already doing, because I already like this way better than I went into it thinking, all right, it's going to be okay, but I didn't have super high hopes just because of the last season of Game of Thrones disappointed me so much.
Yeah, the last... What,
I pretend that season
I think it was like
doesn't
the
exist.
last two seasons were a bit off on Game
Yeah.
of Thrones.
Yeah,
whereas
I
everything
just-
else was really good.
This is giving me a newfound hope in that show, or in the series itself.
Yeah, so season 1 is 10 episodes. And they've said that the Fire and Blood book that this show is based off has been sort of tentatively plotted out for between 3 and 4 seasons of this show. And they've already renewed it for a second season. They renewed it for a second season 5 days after the season premiere, which it's a big call very early, but I guess with the ratings they pulled, which were, what did they get? Episode 1, within the first 24 hours, had 9.986 million viewers across HBO and HBO Max. The most watched pilot in HBO history. And then they also noticed that Game of Thrones had a big spike in streaming before the show came out.
Yeah.
And then after 5 days, so when they did announce the season renewal, it had been watched over 20 million times across HBO platforms. Here in Australia, 1.25 million Australians, roughly 1 in 20, watched episode 1. And yeah, so I think that's why they were so confident in. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good start.
there's an audience here, and it seems to be being received well across all of the episodes.
Yeah.
We might as well do a second season, but
I was really happy that it came out so well. I almost was going to hold off and just watch all of it when I got here, but I could not. I broke down and I watched the first episode, not the night that it was premiered, but the night afterwards, because I just couldn't hold back any longer. And I was extremely happy. It was a lot more intense in the first episode than I expected it to be. I did not expect them to come out with that much of a bang, but hey, right on. They wanted to make a statement, and I think they did.
yeah, well, very early on we start with Daemon Targaryen and his city watch soldiers just going through town and
Destroying people.
yeah, killing people that I couldn't tell if they were like actual rapists and thieves or if they were just like.
They just got caught up in the middle or something.
Yeah, I feel like the City Watch were kind of just pointing people out to like make examples of people and then shouting, "Oh, they did this,"
Yeah.
as a reasoning for it. But
There was no thought to their grabbing. I don't think. I feel
think
like
it
they
was,
just
yeah.
grabbed whoever was closest to them.
Yeah,
and
it
they
was
go,
just
"Oh yeah, I'm gonna kill that
violence
guy."
for the sake of violence to like establish a bit of authority. And they got graphic in some of those kills. Like
Yeah, nope, I wasn't prepared.
saw people's hands get chopped off and
Other,
other appendages
yeah,
full
Yep.
on. And then we went to the Knights tournament, which I think was like the first point where you can see the massive bump in budget between this show and Game of Thrones,
yes,
because we had like a jousting tournament in season 1 of Game of Thrones, and it looked kind of like one of those medieval fairs where it was just like tents and a couple of
yeah. It wasn't
small
as
little
elaborate.
grandstands, whereas this one was like
Full on,
big
like,
stone grandstands
Yeah.
and just massive. So yeah, that's where they really showed off the budget, which was a big jump. Like Game of Thrones season 1 budget $6 million.
okay,
By season 8, the budget had gone up to $15 million.
yeah.
For House of the Dragon season 1, the budget was $20 million.
Yeah, clearly they wanted to show off that they had learned.
And
That's how I look at it.
the overall production budget for the first season was apparently closer to $200 million, including $100 million for marketing. So they've
A lot of
they've
marketing.
dropped a ton of money into this show.
The money. Oh
Not
my
as
gosh.
much as our second show that we're going to talk about.
That's true.
They've spent a whole lot
This
more.
was really good. I saw so many different things for House of Dragons, and even still, there's like a bunch of different like mini docu-series or whatever that go into like different characters and different creatures, and so they really wanted to like get the ball rolling with this series and make sure that it took off the way they think they expected it to.
Yeah, like anytime you watch an episode on like Binge or Foxtel here, all the suggested things are other spin-off things relating back to it. So it's either here's the backstory on this character,
Yeah.
here's the backstory on this other character, here's the backstory on the dragons, here's like behind the scenes, or here's a post show that they have on every episode. There's like
Yeah.
a cast and
I
crew
think-
sit down chat about the shows.
I think I compared it the other night to The Witcher when they released the Witcher series and they started to release like the mini episodes of like this character or like these creatures and this and that. It's the same concept, and I love it because if you don't know much about the storyline or you don't know much about the characters in general because you've never read the books or something like that, it's a great way to dive into that a little bit further so you don't feel completely like out of it when you're looking at it.
I find it funny every time I open the Binge app, like the first page is just House of Dragons or Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You got to scroll to find anything else, which is a bit funny.
I did try to watch Game of Thrones again before House of Dragons came out, but I then realized I had way too many shows to catch up on in general, so that did not work
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, there's 8 seasons, hour episodes each.
I
and
only
then towards the end
consider
they
it
get closer to
7.
2.
I don't need to watch the last season of Game of Thrones. I just need to watch up to season 7.
And episode 1, what did you think of the childbirth scene?
So being a mom, childbirth in general is not very fun. At least not for me, it wasn't. So I can't imagine trying to give birth back in those times when you had no drugs or anything for that matter. It was just simply your body just saying, "Hey, let's do this." And that was a really extreme sequence that they filmed. I did not expect it to be that intense. They are shooting for the shock factor sometimes, I think, and they definitely hit it with that particular one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like they go full bore on the C-section and then ends up being pointless anyway because the baby Balon, spoiler, died anyway. So and then the mother died, so it's just kind of like, oh, that was a waste of time. And then Daemon gets banished, and
Rightfully so, because he's annoying.
then yeah, we see the first female heir named. Rhaenyra is named as the heir, and then that was the end of the episode. We moved into episode 2, which is a 6-month time jump. So it's a small jump. We see Daemon taking refuge at Dragonstone, supported by his bunch of crazy psycho, choppy killer City Watch guys.
Yeah.
What else did we say? Oh, Rhaenyra had to choose her King's Guard
Yes. Yeah.
appointee, and
She was really smart when she came to that. I like how she kind of did not go with whoever was getting suggested to her. She kind of realized, like, hey, I want somebody who actually knows what they're doing, not someone who just looks good or is, you know, in good political standings or something like that.
yeah, she actually chose someone that has like
Battle
experience and is
yeah.
battle tested, which was smart in Kristen Cole. What else? Oh, and then the creepiest, grossest part of that episode.
Oh, God. The child bride moment where they tried
Viserys
doing that.
needing to choose a new bride, and Corlys and Rhaenys suggest their 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
That was pretty gross. Yeah. But
Especially since they coached her to, like, say things, too. Like, that's what was even more disturbing was that not only were they forcing this upon, or trying to force it upon their child, but they were actually, like, coaching her, like, hey, say this and do this. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about it right now, but this is what's going to happen. It's like, ugh.
and it's not until she says, like, I wouldn't have to bed you until I was, 14 that you realize just how young she is. Like, she looks really young, but
Yeah, it was...
that takes it to a new level.
Yeah, no.
But he ultimately doesn't choose her. He chooses Alicent,
The best friend of his
Rhaenyra's
daughter,
best friend.
which is almost as bad. She's just a little bit older. But that's... Ugh, I can't imagine, like, my dad saying, hey, I'm marrying your best friend. And just being like, I'm your new mom. That's weird.
And then, yeah, that ultimately annoys Corlys, who decides to then go and team with Daemon, which sets off the next bunch of
Crap.
stuff in episode 3. But we also, when we go back to Daemon, we see that he's stolen a dragon egg,
Yeah.
and Rhaenyra gets to, like, show off her might and
Just how much of a badass she actually is.
yeah, flies in on a dragon, which was such a cool scene, like flying through the mist. And then,
Yeah,
like,
it
popping
was.
up and just landing.
And she owns it too. She completely owns her sequences. Like, even though she's young, she knows that she's got so much more potential and no one's really listening to her fully. Like,
especially after being named heir, like, this was kind of her way of saying, like, no, I'm actually in charge here.
I know what I'm doing.
I'm taking control.
Yeah.
I have a dragon. I can do what I want, basically.
Yeah, I like that she's a little bit rebellious because she's trying to, I think, you know, assert her dominance and show that she's not weak and she's ready for that moment, and nobody's really giving it to her.
Yeah, and she's really channeling, like, Daenerys Targaryen very, very much. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest part. Like, this show feels very much like Game of Thrones, but with, like, different pieces in the chess game, but still, like, having all the political intrigue, and yet it absolutely feels like it fits within that universe. It's not
Yeah, it's not forced or
it's not
anything.
capitalizing on this being such a successful show.
Yeah.
Let's try and make something that kind of feels like it. It's no, this is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, I think if it's perfectly in with the entire series, I think it's gotten its own footing, and it's definitely its own show in its own ways and stuff like that. Like, they're obviously hinting towards Game of Thrones style and things like that, but they're definitely doing a good job of putting their own footprint in there and just kind of riding with it.
I did find it funny though that Daemon lied about his mistress being pregnant, but didn't, like, clue her in.
Yeah,
as
she
to
was
this
so
was what's happening.
clueless. Like, what do you mean you told them I was pregnant? What do you mean you told me that you told them we were getting married? What?
She's like, bro, you're
I'm sorry.
you're of status. They're not gonna kill you, but
They'll kill me.
they'll kill me. I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I kind of almost felt bad for her because she was just like an innocent bystander at that point, and she had no clue what was going on.
What are you thinking of Matt Smith as Daemon as well?
So I didn't really know much about him in general. When I first saw him on screen, I recognized him from Morbius because I know how much you love that movie.
Oh, that's what he's from.
Yeah, he plays his best friend who ends up being like the actual villain. Yeah, you're welcome.
I just kept thinking of him as Doctor Who.
And I've never watched Doctor Who.
Oh,
Fun fact.
now you've ruined him. God damn it.
Yeah, no, I know how much you enjoy Morbius. It's one of your favorite Sony Marvel films.
So good.
Can't wait to rewatch it over and over again. But yeah, and then we watched Last Night in Soho, and he was in that too.
Oh yeah, he was the creepy guy in that too.
Yeah, he was the creepy-ish guy in that movie too. So it was really funny watching this show and then seeing him in that role while I was here. And I go, oh, wait, hold on, I know him. But he's a really good actor. I know he's getting a lot of praise for his role as Damon right now. And I think he's got a really good kind of villainous like way about him. The way he's portraying it is just perfect.
Yeah, particularly after episode 3, I saw a lot of praise for his performance in that because, fun fact, that episode he doesn't speak a single word.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! I gotta go rewatch that now again. I didn't realize that.
He has such like pivotal moment in that episode.
And he just doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say a single word in that entire episode.
Oh wow!
But his like performance is probably his best of the season so far.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but that just makes it that much more powerful. Because I was watching it and I loved the battle sequences in season 3, and especially like that whole sequence with him. But it was almost kind of like far-fetched almost when I was watching it a little bit in spots. Like, how are you running through this without getting touched by a single arrow?
He didn't even zigzag like the guy in the Battle of the Bastards.
He just went straight line, and was stopping to actually like hit people, and still didn't get hit.
Standing still, and 100 archers are still missing.
Yeah, so I mean, they must have just had really bad aim, but no, it's interesting to know that he didn't say a damn thing in that one.
Yeah, he just runs through and murders people, and even like in the like pre-setup where Corlys and his son and Daemon are like trying to go over the tactics of what we should do here.
He just stands there.
The guy from King's Landing, whatever the new town is, comes up with the message saying Viserys is going to send support, and he doesn't say anything. He just walks over, grabs the note, and jets out to the battlefield with a white flag and does like one of the most despicable things you can do in a battle.
Yeah.
Pretend to surrender and then stab someone. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I was really confused as to what was going on, and then it clicked when they started showing everything, and I'm just like, wow, all right, this is interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was just like legitimately surrendering. He was like, I'd prefer to lose than have my brother help me.
Yeah, that would have been
Nope,
a good way of doing that.
I'm just going to get sneaky and win no matter how I want. And, what else did we get in episode 3? So yeah, that was Lord Corlys and Prince Daemon battling Kragus Drahar, aka the crab feeder, and his little crab guys.
Yeah, that was really weird. I kind of appreciate the fact that like, he's a strange villain in the sense that like he's putting crabs on people and just letting them go to town and torture people essentially with crabs. Like, it's a weird concept, but I think it's kind of cool.
And yet they did a good job of like setting that character up without like having major moments where like we spent time just with that character. Like we saw little glimpses of him here and there and heard lots of talk about him creating this battlefield and like slowly decimating the navy and stuff.
Yeah.
But we never like had to spend an episode with him to learn who he was. So
right.
he felt like a intimidating enemy without being like constantly in the show.
Yeah,
which was really cool. We did get to see a close-up view of him in episode 3 as sort of we learned that he has dragon scale. Like I could in episode, like we see him in episode 2. I don't think we see him in the first episode.
No, I think it's just episode 2 is where they finally introduce him as coming on. And
yeah, like we see him in episode 2, and I wasn't sure if it was like just weird like
burns or something
crab
like that.
skin or like burns or something. But then we find out that it's dragon scale. We also see a close up. He's wearing one of the broken Sons of the Harpy mask.
Yeah, that was something you pointed out, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together on that right away.
Yeah, so. I looked at it and I was like, that mask looks familiar, and I couldn't work out why. And then I saw a tweet later saying, it was a Sons of the Harpy mask. I was like, okay.
Makes sense.
So it's a nice little tie-in to Game of Thrones. And then, like we said, I do like that they call him the crab feeder, though, rather than like his actual name, just like...
Yeah, because it sounds more fun. I don't know. It's kind of like when they were doing like the Mountain or the Hound or something like that in Game of Thrones. Like you don't use their name, you just use like
their moniker
or whatever. Yeah.
And like we said, Aid is finally sent to help Daemon, and he's just like, nope, I'm gonna do this myself, and runs into the cave. We don't actually see the battle, but we just see him drag out from like
a
shoulder to hip sliced down in half, and we see the top half of his torso dragged out. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, and then Damon's just like covered in a massive amount of blood and everything, just staring out.
Which is concerning given the guy has dragon scale. Like, does now Daemon get dragon scale? Because like Isn't that how it's like past, like
Yeah.
touching someone? But
that'll be an interesting kind of thing to see if anything comes of that. Actually,
yeah.
That'll be really fun.
But like we also had like teasers of potential dragon scale with Viserys as well. Like in the first episode, like we keep seeing like the gross pussy wounds and stuff, and it kind of looks dragon scaly, but not. So it's just, that'll be interesting to see. Like, is dragon scale going to end up being like a much more pronounced issue in this series? And we had another time jump in this one. So
yeah, she's slightly older again.
I'm interested to see if we're going to get like more and more time jumps, or if we're going to eventually get to a point where we just, okay, now we're here.
Yeah.
We've done 4 episodes to set up where we are, and then the final 4 are going to all just be like in order without jumping. So we'll see. Or maybe they'll just do. But this one was a 3-year jump. This was a much bigger jump.
Yeah, I hope that they don't do too many time jumps, or if they do, I hope it's not like as a major, because I would like this series to go on a lot more.
But then, like the preview we saw at the end of episode 3,
she looked like a full-grown adult.
It looks like there's another pretty significant jump, at least one more to come. So. But yeah, we saw Viserys and Alicent had their first baby. It was the baby's 2nd birthday.
Yes.
And Alicent is already heavily pregnant again, which...
Oof, I don't envy that.
That's good. Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, she's popping them out. I think it's, he's trying to the king's trying to just maybe set his legacy in place, since he had such bad luck with his, firstborn son. He's trying to just like set that in stone, like, oh, hey, look, I have a male heir. Although he doesn't seem very concerned about having a male heir at this point. Yeah, he seems like, very conflicted.
He seems like he's pretty steadfast on like, no, I've named Rhaenyra as the heir, so I'm not going to go back on my word. But
then he has that moment.
Everyone around him is like pushing him to change.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I hope he stays like true in his like original setting and like doesn't end up being stereotypical, oh no, I'm going to name my male heir kind of moment.
And yeah, like we see a lot of Viserys continuing to sort of be pressured and pressuring Rhaenyra to marry, so that I think he wants her to marry so that it stops people pressuring him to change who the heir is.
Yes.
But she's like doesn't want any part of it. We see a Lannister, Jason Lannister, come in and
try to court her,
offer to marry her, and she's just like, "Go away, bro."
Yeah, I want nothing to do with you.
The actor for Jason Lannister was interesting.
Who's it? Who about that?
He's also in this series. He plays Tyland Lannister as well, Jason's twin.
Oh,
so he plays 2 characters, which is going to be weird because I'm going to be like,
what one am I?
They're going to have to actually say his name every time that he comes on screen, so you know which one it is. Unless they like give them like really drastically different outfits or hairstyles or something.
I didn't know that.
That guy has also played a character in Game of Thrones as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays Hugh of the Vale in Game of Thrones, like a random soldier at one of the jousting tournaments. So yeah, he's got 3 characters in this universe.
That's something. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of cool to put on your your resume. Like, I was in Game of Thrones 3 different ways.
And then when Viserys is being pressured to make Rhaenyra marry someone, Lord Strong suggests that she marries Laenor Valeron, the brother of the 12-year-old girl.
Yes.
Which was gross.
But,
like,
more child marriages and arrangements, which are not
He was older when he does this because we see him in that battle. He's the guy that rides the dragon in to win.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when Daemon is having that big ground fight,
he's the one on the other dragon.
The dragon that comes in is Laenor.
Okay.
Rhaenyra's brother.
Okay.
There's so many confusing names.
There's so many L's in here.
They're all so similar. Yeah. Laenor is the son. Rhaenyra is the daughter.
Let's come up with some more.
And then there's just Jason.
There's Jason.
The one dude with a normal name.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I can deal without any child marriages or arrangements. That'd be great.
And so the spoiler I found, I was telling you about, is to do with Rhaenyra.
Okay.
And who she eventually marries.
Okay.
They're Targaryens. Who do you think it is?
I don't know. Why should I know?
It's Damon.
Ew, gross. Really? Oh, no.
Like, we got glimpses of that in that preview. Like, it looked like they were together, and yeah, so they eventually end up together, which is gross and weird.
I don't like Damon. Like, I don't like the character, which I guess is a good thing because that's what they're trying to do. He just irritates me because he's so smug.
Yeah, so they're going to end up being married,
No, thank you.
which is a bit gross.
That's gross.
And so far, we've seen a few dragons. We're meant to get 9 overall. I think we've seen 3 or 4? 3 so far.
3,
So
yeah.
we've seen Cyrax, which is Rhaenyra's like golden yellow,
The pretty
yellowy
one.
color dragon.
Damon's dragon.
Damon's is Caraxes, which is like a bright red dragon with
That's
a really
huge.
long neck, weird legs that make him look kind of like. When I saw him flying, I was like, it looks like a sea monster.
Yeah, he is very oddly shaped for a dragon.
And then the final dragon we saw was Laenor. It's a grayish white color dragon called Sea Smoke, which is a pretty cool name for the guy, as his house is the seahorse.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good play on that, I think.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what other dragons we see.
Yeah,
They've
that'll
all
be
been
fun.
like really different, and they all look pretty different to the Game of Thrones dragons. But I think that's probably partly because of budget, where they can
Yeah.
be a bit more creative with the dragons.
I kind of sort of hope I get to see a baby dragon just because baby dragons look adorable. And there was the egg that Damon stole. So I'm kind of hoping that they just maybe throw that in there one day.
Yeah.
Just for me. 'Cause I love the baby dragons.
And we saw Viserys' dead dragon skull.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah.
big ginormous one underneath it. Is it under the castle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently we're going to see 6 more dragons in
Be
the
interesting.
next 5 episodes.
Yes.
So I think there's going to be a big like dragon battle at some point.
That's a positive for me. I'm all about that. Give me
Well,
all the
if-
dragons.
If Daemon and Rhaenyra are together, there's 2 dragons on one side.
Yeah.
Corlys, Sea Smoke is going to be with them too, so there's a 3 dragon fight.
Yeah, so then they'd have to pull in more.
There's
It'll
gonna
be interesting
more
to see
coming
where.
from the other side, so
I'm excited about it.
it's going to be cool. And then the other little note I saw was, did you notice the dagger that Viserys is always carrying around?
Yeah.
He constantly has this little dagger on his hip,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the dagger that someone tried to kill Bran with in Game of Thrones season 1,
Is it really?
and it's also the dagger that Arya uses to kill the Night King.
Oh,
the
that's
end of
kind
the
of
season.
cool.
So it's like this dagger that just gets passed down through the generations.
Yeah, and somehow it gets passed over
and
eventually.
somehow gets over to Arya.
That's interesting. That's a fun tidbit. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, that looks familiar.
That's an interesting concept.
They've done a really good job of weaving it together. So yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
we said, it feels like it fits. It's not just a cash in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it belongs there, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the success of this one because then maybe we'll get additional ones somewhere else down the line, maybe for more in depth on the Starks or the Lannisters. Even as much as I hate the Lannisters, I would love to see like a whole backstory on their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or even like something to do with the King of the North and the Night King, like how that all came.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
north of the wall, that fight.
yeah, I would love, like, ultimately, I would love like a backstory on all of the stuff like that's on across the wall, like beyond the wall. Just that would be such a fun series to have.
Or even like we could do a follow-up season with like Arya's adventures now that she's like traveling the world to try and learn more stuff. That'd be
Yeah.
a cool one.
Because I like Arya. I don't personally think I wanted her to defeat the Night King in the way that it happened, but I do like her character. I think she's one of my favorite characters throughout the entire show of that. So that would be a fun thing to see as a spin-off series. I think this one's going to do exactly what they're expecting it to do. It already has for the most part. So
Yeah. I think the only issue they would have with an Arya spin-off in that sense is like the political intrigue has been such a big component of these 2 series. Like I don't know how you include that in like an Arya adventure story.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just going to be like her killing people.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of be like a Monster of the Week show, not necessarily like this overarching political
Storyline.
infighting.
Yeah, everywhere.
Unless she goes somewhere and like gets employed to like try and assassinate someone, and as she's learning about this person, discovers that there's more to this backstory, and
Yeah.
they set it up that way. But we'll see.
That'd be interesting.
So that's House of the Dragon. The other big show, like we mentioned, they've spent an amazing amount of money on this one.
Ungodly amounts of money, can you imagine?
The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, fantasy television series based on the books by J.R.R. Tolkien. This time set in the Second Age of Middle-earth, thousands of years before The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and covering essentially what leads up to the forging of the rings that become the major element of Sauron's rise and demise and re-rise in the Lord of the Rings movies. Produced by Amazon Studios in cooperation with HarperCollins, New Line Cinema, and in consultation with the Tolkien estate, which is a big thing. Tolkien's grandson, Simon, consulted in the development of the series. They have said it's not a continuation of the movies. It's like a sub-story. But they have tried to design everything so it fits, which is I think they've done a good job so far.
Yeah, I think they have too, because you see characters that later on show up in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So they've done a good job of kind of slowly incorporating that, but not full on putting it in your face like, hey, this is this.
And like, even like visually, it feels like it should be a major movie, not an Amazon streaming show.
No, every episode I go, wow, this is like a mini movie. Like, it's just like a full on production at this point. Like, I feel like I'm just watching another Lord of the Rings movie, honestly, because they're just so massive.
And like, just the CGI elements.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Like, it looks so good. It doesn't look like a Netflix or Amazon streaming show where you can pick up on the dodgy elements, like where the budget has been pulled back. But
yeah, no, this is definitely, I mean, if they ever wanted to, if they had thought about it and they wanted to do like a theatrical release of like mini movie or something like that, this would have been perfect because it's just that good.
Yeah, like if New Line Cinema want to spin off another movie out of this,
They've got it.
Just employ this crew of CGI artists because
they're fantastic.
They've done a great job. But like we're saying, the budget-wise, insane. Amazon bought the rights in 2017 for $250 million after essentially being stuck in a bidding war with Netflix themselves and HBO. They all wanted...
Damn.
But then with Game of Thrones, I can see why HBO probably dropped out.
Yeah, because I feel like if they had both of those, they wouldn't know what to do. I feel one would have faltered if they had been in charge of both of them.
It would have been overload on fantasy stuff, and
Yeah.
I think people would have split and watched one or the other. Whereas now that they're on separate things, I think people are going to watch both.
And as much as I love Netflix, I don't think they would have been able to pull it off as much as Amazon did with this one.
Well, they definitely wouldn't hit the budget.
Well, yeah.
Because Amazon, when they bought it, they committed to making 5 seasons. So that's already done. And they've committed $1 billion to the creation of those 5 seasons, making it the most expensive television series ever made. And as part of the deal, it was stipulated that they begin production within 2 years because a Lord of the Rings show has been something that's been rumored for
Ever.
probably like decades now since the movies came out. So yeah, they were basically like, I think the Tolkien estate was like, if you're going to do this, you can't just buy the rights and then sit on it for years. Like,
we want
you
it.
got to get this done within 2 years and get it rolling, which they've done. And apparently Jeff Bezos was personally involved in the negotiations. He was so keen on getting this show for Amazon. Like, he normally doesn't get involved in the entertainment side.
Yeah.
But he was super desperate to get this show for Amazon because apparently he mandated that Amazon develop a fantasy show on the scale of Game of Thrones, and then this popped up. And he was
Yeah,
like,
that's perfect. Perfect timing.
let's just spend the money and get this, and we'll go from there. Like, we don't have to develop a whole new world and lore and everything.
No,
Like,
yeah, it's already there.
we have a base layer. We can just build off that. But then they spend $1 billion. So.
I mean, it's good to see that my Prime membership went to good use. Appreciate that. Didn't disappoint.
And it seems to be paying off so far. In the first 24 hours, 25 million viewers
Yeah, all right.
for 2 episodes.
That's a bit much.
Like, I was expecting it to do well with given how much they sort of promoted the hell out of this show.
But that was
But
amazing.
25 million is insane.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic though. I'm sure they're all very happy about that.
Like we said, they've spent $1 billion, but I think even the trailer they put out, I think that trailer cemented in people's minds that they're not half-assing this.
Yeah, no, the trailer is what sold me. I hadn't thought about Lord of the Rings for a while, just because I had heard so many different rumors about shows and spin-offs and this and that. And I go, all right, well, you know, it might happen, it might not happen. And then even going back to when they released the Hobbit series movies, those were good, but it didn't do for me what the original Lord of the Rings trilogy did for me. So I hadn't really thought too much about it, and I went into it thinking, all right, it's going to be good, but who knows how good it's going to be. And so now I'm like full on dedicated to it.
Yeah, like the trailer with the forging of the rings was like apparently all practical.
Yeah.
It's not CG.
Oh,
They actually poured a mixture of bronze and aluminium into sand molds, filmed it at 5,000 frames per second so that they could slow it right down and show it in ultra slow motion. So proved that it was worth it.
Aluminum.
Aluminium, you weirdo.
He said the word and it made me just think about that, and it's aluminum.
Nah.
The trailer was really good, though. I really did appreciate that. They did a really good job on that, and it got me really pumped for this series.
And like we said, there's a lot of CGI in it, but they've also incorporated a lot of practical effects as well.
Which I appreciate.
All the orcs in this show are apparently like just real people wearing
Like FX makeup?
latex masks but like high quality latex masks that are thin enough that they can still move them with their face and like act, not just here's a blank mask and we're gonna have to come in later and CGI in the emotions. Like they're really high quality masks that they can actually still move their mouth and eyes and stuff in the mask. Which
I love that. I really appreciate when they do that, when they put forth the effort to do that, because it just looks so much better. It looks better on film. You get more emotion out of each character, and you know it's not just generic, because you can only do so much with a computer. I mean, every movement, it might seem unique or something like that, but there's only so many ways you can make someone or scrunch their face or something like that.
And at least by doing it this way, they can, if they do have to go in and do CGI, it's only going to be little minor tweaks here or there, like maybe for lighting or to highlight eyes and things. It's not going to be full face changing, so that's cool. And apparently we're getting female orcs for the first time as well.
That'll be interesting to see.
So that'll be cool.
That'll be a really interesting concept.
Like, I noticed there's been like a few changes. We saw black elves apparently for the first time. There's like black and white half-foots, which are essentially hobbits.
Yeah, they're really cute too. Like I like their whole character concept. They're really interesting to me.
Yeah, when we were watching it and they kept saying half-foot, I was like, aren't they just
hobbit?
hobbits?
Yeah, and I couldn't really tell if they were or weren't either, because they don't resemble a hobbit necessarily, but they also
live the same way.
Yeah,
they're small. They have the like big hairy feet.
But then when they showed like the hunter people, or the hunters, or
Yep.
Yeah, when they showed them in comparison, they were way tinier than like a hobbit would be, because if you think back to like the hobbits in Lord of the Rings, they were short, but they weren't like that tiny. These people were like fairy size.
Yeah, so I think like I was reading somewhere like in the Lord of the Rings books, there's hobbits are like a class of species, and then within that there's like half-foots and 2 other types.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're just like
A spin-off.
hobbits, but like different sizes and
Yeah.
slightly variations. But yeah, they were cool. But yeah, I do like the idea of female orcs, black elves. Like, it's not going to be as divided as they were in the movies. Like,
Yeah.
in the movies, it was all the elves are white with blonde hair.
All the orcs are...
All the hobbits are short. All the orcs are men. Like,
Yeah, they're... Yeah.
apparently, that's them trying to make this more akin to the books, where it wasn't so much divisive. I think the movies being made when they were just trying to really define clear lines of,
Yeah.
this is an elf, this is a hobbit.
And I think people already had, like, in their mindset, like, just from reading fantasy books and stuff like that, like, that is what an elf is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be exactly like that. And they just used that. But I like how they've definitely grown with their ideas on that.
But yeah, like, we do get, like, the we've already seen, like, the black elf running around and fighting orcs and stuff in the town, which is cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of episode 1 overall?
I like it. I'm really, really excited to see, like, how far they go with the character storylines and stuff like that. It's interesting to see how dedicated. I always fuck up her name. What did it get?
Galadriel.
Galadriel. Yeah. I liked how dedicated she was to pursuing, like, what happened with her brother and stuff like that. Like, she was just nonstop, like, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I know everything's become, like, a strong female lead character now. Like, that's the new standard, I feel, with a bunch of new shows. But in this, I feel like it's justified. And they're not just focusing solely on her anymore. It is going to other characters too and other parts of the realm and things like that. So I do like that a lot.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's kind of like Game of Thrones was in the first season, where there's all these different stories happening at the same time, and eventually they're all going to come together.
Yes.
And then that's going to be a cool moment.
Yeah.
I thought episode 1 was good, but episode 2 was what finally sold me. Like, I thought episode 1 was... Obviously, it was going to be slower because it was introducing you to all these different stories and different characters. So it felt pretty slow.
Yeah.
But then episode 2, like, they're like, okay, you know everyone now. We're going to ramp it up. We're going to throw in some crazy elf battles and an orc just randomly popping up out of the ground.
Yeah. That was a creepy thing too. Like, they did a really good job with, like, the character design on the orcs. I love the way that they look right now. Like, their long fingernails, they've got, like, you know, crazy stuff going on with their faces, and they don't look very generic. Like, you know, thinking back to the movies, they were very, like, there's only, like, maybe 3 or 4 kind of designs on them, whereas these ones, they look like they're going to be more individualized.
What did you think of Theo, the little kid, finding the broken Sauron sword and being an idiot and, like, touching it?
I'm really intrigued to see what happens with him. He seems like, I don't know, he seems like just a, like, average, like, teenager kind of kid who, you know, wants to break rules and stuff like that. He also is very, like, anti-elf.
Yeah, that seems
and
to
he
be
makes
a
that
big
very
thing.
known, and everybody in that town seems to be very, like, not happy about their presence there.
Yeah, I was reading it's basically because the elves have been dispatched there to watch over that town, because that town is all descendants of people that were allies of Morgoth, like Sauron's leader.
Yeah.
So they're all like, the elves are like watching them being like, we still don't trust you. So
Right.
then that's like playing back with the men not trusting the elves at the same time.
Yeah, so I feel like that might play a role in, like, how touching that sword might have affected him. I like how they've just, like, hinted it a little bit, like he's been targeted, kind of, almost, or it seems like he's been targeted.
Yeah, I think like
So-
it's kind of like, what's his name? Not Samwise, the other Frodo.
Yeah.
Like him touching the ring and like forming a connection.
Yeah, I think it's
I
the
think
same
it's
concept.
a similar concept.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens if he's able to kind of just get on with life and pretend that nothing happened, or if he actually brings it up to his mom, like, hey, something weird's going on. I doubt he's going to do that, though, because he doesn't seem like he would be that kind of kid.
No, I think, yeah, he's going to end up having some sort of role to play in unknowingly bringing Sauron back, and then that's going to cause these big fights.
100%.
I'm also intrigued by the weird meteor man that the half
Oh
have
yeah, the
like
one that just
encountered,
flew down out of nowhere and was like,
who
"Woof,"
can't talk,
who
but
can't talk, but he likes fireflies and
uses fireflies to
kills fireflies eventually.
to show constellations and stuff. So I'm interested to see where that's going. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what he's supposed to be. If he's supposed to be maybe like Sauron in male form, because everything kind of happened all at once. Like there were flashes here and there, and he kind of just like touched down at the same time that other stuff was going on. So
yeah, like
I don't know.
I kept getting like kind of Gandalf-y vibes from him,
Okay.
but I was like, is he supposed to be like a young Gandalf that just like hasn't worked out his powers and connection to humans yet? Or
Yeah. I don't know.
is he Sauron? I don't know. There's a lot of intrigue in this like first 2 episodes of I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm still like super keen to find out more, which is weird.
Yeah, I appreciate it though because they've definitely done a good job of hinting to things, but not full on putting them out there yet. So, and they've done a really good job of not being able to let you connect the dots either because they've left it so open ended it could go either way really.
And then the other big thing we got to see in the second episode was the elf guy being sent to work with the smith, and then them going to the dwarves and trying to establish a union with the
Common ground
dwarves
almost,
to
yeah.
build a really gigantic forge, which is obviously they're going to come to that agreement,
Yeah.
build this big forge, and then forge the rings. Like that, I felt like that was the only thing that was super clear about what's happening.
Right, yeah.
They've kind of made it look like it might not happen, but
Not really.
the show is called Rings of Power. Like,
Yeah.
at some point, we're going to have to
gonna
build this
happen.
forge.
You did not mention sea monsters. I was
yeah.
really happy about a sea monster finally because in the entire Lord of the Rings universe, they've never once mentioned sea creatures. So I was really happy that they finally dawned on that because you don't know what's out there in the oceans or anything like that. Or what
Yeah, I
other
guess,
things
yeah.
are lurking.
In the movies, we've only ever seen on land and then the big flying bird things. We haven't actually been on the ocean.
Right, yeah. So I was really happy when they finally did that and just kind of branched out a little bit because it just shows that there are more creatures and stuff like that out there in that entire universe almost.
Yeah. They didn't show much of the sea monster, but it was massive.
It was massive. Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, I don't know. So far, I'm pretty hooked. I'm not. I'm interested to see where it goes in the next, what did I say, 10 episodes?
I hope it's 10 episodes.
I think it's 8 or 10. I can't remember. I thought I had it written down, but yeah. I think it's like 8 or 10 episodes. So I'm interested to see where
Sounds
it
about
goes.
right.
The dwarves were cool. I really like the way the dwarves looked.
I like,
I like the guys with the like helmets that even covered their beards.
yeah, like they got to protect their beard. I like the dwarf's wife. I forget her name.
Disa?
Is that, yeah, I love her. She's hilarious. You're not staying for dinner. You're staying for dinner,
He's
honey.
staying for dinner. Durin's just like, okay, jeez, I don't want him here, but
Whatever. Yeah, she's wonderful. I love her so much. I think she's a great like side character additive, and she adds like a little bit of a comedy element to it, which is nice since it's such a serious kind of show.
yep. Yeah, so 2 episodes so far. Pretty intriguing. Interested to see where it goes. But if you were to give a top recommendation out of the 2,
I'm going with Hot D. I'm gonna call it Hot D now, just because of the thing. It's just because that's more my speed of blood and fighting, violence.
yeah, I think Lord of the Rings could get up there, but like I guess we've really only had 1 extra episode, but it feels like so much more has happened.
Yeah,
in
I
Game
think
of
it's just because
Thrones.
they're so. Yeah, because I feel Game of Thrones is already such an established thing, so we already kind of went into it expecting certain things to happen, maybe, and we had like the whole idea of, all right, this is the backstory of the Targaryens, whereas Lord of the Rings, we don't really know, other than the fact that it's supposed to be about how the Nine Rings came about. We don't really know anything else.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, it felt slower. So, and I think because they've committed to 5 seasons already, they don't want to be like let's rush through a bunch of stuff in the first 2
Yeah.
episodes and then be like, oh god, how do we
do this?
stretch this out? So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a slower show,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm interested to see when the rings are made. Like,
Yeah.
are they going to draw
Yeah.
this out so the entire first season is leading up to the rings and then the rings are made in the last episode?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to like bring the rings in earlier and start to spread them around the world?
Yeah, it will be really interesting to see how that happens. If they want to spread them out, they're going to have a lot of character development, I think, to cover between now and the last episode. Because there's just so many new people we haven't met yet. And so, like, because...
Yeah, well, so far we've got what, elves,
Mm-hmm.
hobbits, men, dwarves.
And there's 9 that we're supposed to
Yeah,
technically get.
so there's heaps more.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I'm really excited to see new characters when they get introduced, and what all happens if anyone decides to turn and side with the orcs. And I kind of also want to see trees. I love Treebeard. He's one of my favorite characters from Lord of the Rings. So I want to see trees again. And we did briefly see them. Like when they panned out during certain things, I saw like moving trees. So
Oh,
I got a little
didn't see
excited.
that. I wonder if how close to the movies they take this
Take it.
show across the 5 seasons. Like, do they take it right up to where the movies start, or do they stop way before that?
It'll be interesting. They have to. I feel like they have to eventually introduce like Gandalf or.
Yeah, well, Gandalf is like a really old being.
Yeah, and he was there like when it happened. He always talks about that kind of stuff. So they do eventually have to like touch base on that. So I'll be interested to see when they incorporate him
And
how
who they
and
cast.
who. Yeah, because that's some big shoes to fill. I'll tell you.
That's not a random role that you just give to anyone, I
Anybody.
guess. So, yeah, for me, Game of Thrones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything. We'll let you go back and eat all your snacks.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Corrina on Instagram at Miss Corrina Renee for all of your crazy horror spookiness, which
It's
given the time of year, there's going to be a lot of that.
August 1st was the first day of Halloween, just so you guys know.
Off to Halloween Horror Nights as soon as you get home.
Yes. I'm already looking at my ticket, so you shall hear all about that.
And you can follow me on social media at JamieUps and at Pario Magazine. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieAppsMedia. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Corrina Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.